Hello, all of you. We're here to talk about homeostasis. This is what this mini video is on. So I want you to look at this diagram that's in your textbook on this fish tank here and all the reflex steps that are shown to the right. So our book uses these steps as often as it possibly can with whatever mechanism we're talking about. It tries to, let's go together there, to look at when we have steps in some mechanism, what's the stimulus? What's the sensor? What's the pathway that's going to lead it over to some sort of integrating center that then has a different pathway leading it to the target or effector, causing some sort of response? Okay, so the example here is using a fish tank. So in the fish tank, let's say you have these tropical fish and they need to be maintained at a certain warmth. If not, they're gonna die on you. So you need to have a mechanism in place for there to be homeostasis, for this internal environment for the fish to work. For the fish, it's external environment, but we're thinking of it for our own bodies. And this is a really good analogy. So the fish is happy there if it's warm. So look what you have. You have a thermometer, you have a wire, and some sort of a control box, and you have a heater because it's going to have to heat that water in order for it to stay at the correct temperature. Okay? So let's take those one at a time because they're numbered here. Number one, the water temperature is 25 degrees. Well, let's say that is not good enough. That's cold. So it's telling us the water temperature is below the set point. So we're always talking about a set point because you don't want it to fluctuate up, you don't want it to fluctuate down. So that is your stimulus. In this case, the stimulus is water temperature too low. Too low. So it's going to trigger point number two. The thermometer is going to sense that. So you have a thermometer there in your tank. It's going to sense that something is wrong. But it's not good just to sense it, it needs to send that information. So it's going to send that information via an afferent pathway. So afferent means starting with A means arriving at the central nervous system. Efferent, exiting the central nervous system. Okay, so here our afferent pathway is a signal coming to some sort of integrating center. Usually we're talking about the brain. In this case, it's a little control box. It's the black control box there, and it's programmed to respond to temperature below 29 degrees. So what happens is it's at 25, so that trigger is going to hit it. It's going to send a signal through, in this case, a wire. We're really thinking of neurons, to the effector. So in this case, our effector, the portion that can do something about fixing that problem. The problem is that the water temperature is too low. That control box is going to fix that problem. So the heater is going to turn on. Heater turns on, and the water temperature is going to increase. That's the response. So it's a given response. So notice that the response that you have in this example is water temperature increases. What was the stimulus? Water temperature too low. So these two oppose each other, correct? If water temperature is too low, then bring it up. And we could do it the other way around too. If water temperature were too high, that's not the set point, you would need to bring it back down. Okay, so that's the response. So we just went through with a tank all these sections. What's the stimulus? Where's the sensor? What's the pathway to the brain or to an integrating center that may not be the brain? And what's it going to target and what's the result? Okay, and homeostasis sort of works in this way. You need these different steps in the organism to be able to correct a mistake, correct something that's too low and make it higher, for example. Okay, so in my next slide, when I have you look at these, I would want you to jumble these up in your brain a little bit and then see, oh, do I really know which is which? Which again was the afferent and which was the sensor or the receptor and which is the target? So when you look at this again, when you're looking at this video, make sure that you can order those and understand the mechanism for this to fix itself, okay, for this homeostatic balance, for it to go back into balance. This kind of stimulus, this kind of feedback loop, it's called a feedback loop because you're telling the result is going to feed into the sensor again, is called a negative feedback. And it's called a negative feedback because the response opposes the stimulus or counteracts the stimulus, and it shuts the loop off. So if you had your initial stimulus that you can see here, initial stimulus in yellow, that was temperature too low, then some sort of response, all those steps are going to happen, and the outcome is that we're going to remove that stimulus. That temperature is no longer too low, and there's going to be this feedback that goes back and will shut off the stimulus. So why is it called negative again? It's because the response opposes the stimulus. They're opposite to each other. It's not like if too high, then make it higher, right? If too low, then make it higher. If too high, make it low. That would be negative. Are there any examples of a positive feedback? Well, a positive feedback would be a response reinforces that stimulus. So if the temperature was too low, then make it lower. If it was too high, make it higher. So there are not very many examples in the body in which this is true, because you would escalate out of control. So in my diagram, you have an initial stimulus giving a response, and it increases that stimulus. And the only way that you can shut that off, because if high, make it higher, if higher, make it higher, and then higher and higher and higher, the only way you could shut that mechanism off is for some outside factor to shut it off. So the classic example of this is during delivery. So here's a mom delivering, and she's releasing oxytocin. And oxytocin is going to increase the contractions of the uterus. And the actual contractions are going to release more oxytocin, which then contracts more, which then releases more oxytocin, which then contracts more. And it is a positive feedback that escalates until something shuts it off. What is that something? The baby's born. The baby's born and it shuts itself off. So that's an example of a positive feedback mechanism. If you have a person, for example, working out on a hot, dry day here, something's going to happen. You're working out, it's really hot, and the outcome at the very end is that water is added to the body fluids and you no longer have a problem. The problem here is you're dehydrating, and this is the solution. Fix it. Well, what are the steps that would go there? Can we fill in those steps that would go from dehydrated, not enough water, to fix the problem? So follow along with me. If you have that person working out then on a hot, dry day, you're going to lose body water by evaporation. You're sweating. If that happens, then what's left behind, the body fluids left behind, are going to be more concentrated, correct? And what's going to happen next is that you have these internal receptors, kind of like the thermometer, that is going to sense that change and is going to make you thirsty. So you're going to go and get your water bottle. Get your water bottle, drink out of it. You've just added to the body fluid water, and you have decreased that concentration. So that's done in the form of a flow chart, but it's the same thing. It's what steps are involved for you to return to homeostasis. Okay, we're going to stop there.